Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom preview streams on the Wednesday night at 7 o'clock in the regular start. Well, we're starting a little bit early today because, we both want to kind of clock off early and watch like the football, the Champions League. And I imagine you do the same as well. You don't want to hear us kind of waffling absolute nonsense past 8 o'clock. It's just not worth it. Of course, I am joined by my good friend and co-host of these streams. It is Jake. Jake, apart from the gammy knee, how's life, mate? How's life?
It's all right, mate. It's all right. Yeah, last minute the old ACL injury. To be fair, mate, I've been getting ridiculed since it happened yesterday because I conveniently may not be able to do this half marathon now.
Oh, right, right. It seems a very convenient injury, that.
Yeah, what a coincidence. That's 3 weeks away. You're not gonna be able to do it, Jake. You can't run.
Oh, all that money for charity. Can we
And
get it back? No. Oh, well, I've already
I
donated
don't know.
it.
I actually don't know. I should probably see if I could push it onto the next one, and then do my other knee in 2 weeks before
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I was thinking like, maybe it's gonna be like one of them old back pocket ones, like Captain Tom's one, where his daughter's now got a new pool or something. We're just gonna see you rock up in like a brand new flat. Oh, don't mind me, lads. It's my new camera that I've got.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all green screen, I promise.
Yeah. That's all fake in the background. No, never mind that. It's not there. Um, yeah. Apart from Jake's charity fraud, FPL wise, there's a lot to chat about, to be honest. Game week 5 for a lot of people was dismal, to say the least. I'm definitely in that category. I think Jake's a little bit better off. He's not quite, full on toaster and bathtub. He's more.
But
But there is a little bit. There is a little bit. There is a
yeah,
little bit, as we will
it could
come
have
on to
been a lot
discuss.
nicer.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. We will answer any of your questions as well throughout the stream, so do get them in, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can. We've already had a question in. We love to see it. The people are onto it. It is fatality. He's played the wild card. He's gone Areola, Flecken, Estepinian, Botman, Short, Adoji, Kabore, Rashford, Salah, Madison, Eze, Mbuemo, Alvarez, Haaland, Morris, Eze. So yeah, that is his team so far. I think that's a pretty strong team for the upcoming few weeks. Double Newcastle defence is probably the only position you see where there's probably not going to be as much rotation in that side. You've got your two Luton players for the double as well. Salah for his good fixtures. I think that's a very strong wild card, to be honest.
Not bad. Although it depends who he's going in with his goalkeeper because it's Areola against Liverpool or it's Flecken against two Newcastle defenders that he's already got.
True.
So
Maybe he's
unless
just
you're going for 0-0.
he's open for a 0-0. No, nice 0-0. It's gonna happen. It's
But
gonna
he's
happen.
also got Mbuemo up top.
Shh. We won't talk about that. We'll keep quiet. We'll keep quiet. We will start off with your game week 5 team, Jake. If you want to give us like a run through of this team, what went well, what didn't go so well.
Oh, sorry, I just didn't feel like you'd finished
I,
there. So
to be honest, mate, in my head I was like, I probably should have said some more. It did feel like more wanted to come out.
I was just like, okay, and
Yeah. Nothing else came out. It kind of just went. There we go.
yeah, well, yeah. So on paper. Probably, to be fair, there's probably quite a few people watching this that have not done as well as me because it was a pretty underwhelming week for all those like star hitters from the earlier game weeks. Um, I think Salah was the guy that's really just nicked it over anyone else. I know my head-to-head game week, I'm rock bottom before this week, no points on the board, and I beat top of the league who had won every game. So it just goes to show that sometimes when you have that stinky, muddy team of misfits and nobodies, it can pay off. But oh my word, it could have gone so much nicer. Because I don't know how many people have caught on to the fact that on the stream last week, I took a -4. That was one thing. Then brought in, who was that I brought in? Brought in Son and Gordon. Okay, Gordon got an assist, so
Yeah.
that's not bad, and I do think he's decent for the next few games. Son makes a little bit of sense, but didn't do anything. So for the -4, not looking great. But then when you think about the two that I took out, so I took out Richarlison, who's got God knows how many points, definitely double figures, you'd think.
Yeah.
And then I took out Trossard, who just lo and behold happens to play just it's sod's law in it because as soon as I take out Trossard, he comes on because Martinelli pulls up with an injury, and there he goes and scores the winner. So for Trossard and Richarlison, two of the nobodies that I was talking about, really, that not many people would have backed. I got a lot of ridicule for that as well, for having those two just mishaps in my team. I've finally seen the light to bring in Son. Finally realised I might be a bit more tactical and go with the stats, go with the fixtures, and maybe take off a player that doesn't even play in Trossard. And it's just come and bitten me in the arse. It's just proving to me that I need to just trust myself and ignore all the truth and statistics and the fact all those tables mean nothing to me because there's a curse. As soon as I do it, it goes wrong. So yeah, it could have been an absolutely exceptional week, and I think I could have been able to gloat a little bit because if I'd kept Trossard and Richarlison, I could have been like, look, here you go. This is a prime example of a week where having those players really does work. And don't get me wrong, it's the first game week I've even had the possibility of saying something along those lines, but I can't even say it this week. So it's a bittersweet week for me because I've kind of saved face with the fact that Salah got 10 points. I went for Gibbs White. Didn't do anything really on Monday. Was a bit of a non-existent player, to be honest. So I was a bit disappointed in that because I just thought he might contribute something, especially after Haaland. As much as he scored, he missed a hatful of chances. I thought it was going to be like a big call that I got right again.
Yeah.
Because Haaland scoring once, it's still up for grabs if you captain someone else.
100%.
The issue with Haaland is you expect him to score a few more. And to be honest, the past 2 game weeks, he's missed a hatful of chances. So it's interesting to look towards the next game week as to whether like you stick or twist. But yeah, I think I've got a few things that I need to consider here for this next game week because you can see there's a few injuries on my bench that are still going to be doubts. And I don't know. I really don't know if I've made the right decision in this -4 with Son. I mean, I'm gonna have to stick with it because he's such a big name. But on overall, it could have gone worse. But my word, for me, it could have gone a whole lot better.
Yeah, it could have. It could have. I think this was the first week I feel like you made some sensible transfers, and it's not worked out, which is just complete luck, to be honest. Like it's just the way it goes, isn't it? I think the Son transfer longer term is probably going to be quite profitable, especially with the news around Perisic's ACL injury today as well. I do feel that means that Son is potentially going to play a lot more minutes, regardless what position it's going to be in, because Perisic was coming on, kind of going into that left wing position, whereas now that's one less player to combat. It means they've got 5 players over those kind of free spaces. So you would imagine he's going to get a lot more minutes. Whether or not that's still going to be up front, that is still a question kind of to be had, especially with Richarlison coming on and scoring as well. It is a little bit of one of them, but I still think he's a good hold for the fixtures that are coming up, to be honest.
Agreed. Fatal's actually had my knickers down, by the way, because I was talking about how that guy, I think it might have been his wild card, he was going to have like a massive conflict in team. They played each other last week, didn't they? Brentford and Newcastle. So
Whoops.
yeah. So in hindsight, it's a very good wild card.
Yeah. FPL experts here, ladies and gentlemen, as always on this channel. Let's move on to your team for game week 6. Obviously, you haven't made your transfer yet, but you have told me who you've got in mind. Let's have a run through of the lineup and that transfer that you're thinking of making.
Okay. Well, it's a bit of a toss-up between Turner and Pickford because I'm still reluctant to commit to that kind of transfer, especially when there's a wild card potentially around the corner. Don't think I'm going to do it this week. I think I am just going to hold on now until that big fixture swing. I've gone for Pickford. I don't fancy my chances there. I guess maybe like I could see myself changing my mind last minute and just banking on Turner making a hatful of saves and getting points that way. But then if it goes wrong at City, if City score like 3, 4, 5, those save points may mean nothing in the end.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure if I'm in the strongest boat here for either goalkeeper, but I've gone for Pickford for the time being. Collins played again, so that's nice to see.
He's back.
They've got Everton, and as much as I may not fancy Pickford to keep a clean sheet, I could see Brentford keeping a clean sheet at home.
Yeah.
Matty Cash, it's an interesting one, Matty Cash, because on paper you want to just take him out because any defender away to Chelsea, you just think it's a no-brainer. But these past few weeks have been baffling with Chelsea. They haven't been able to score against Forest and against Bournemouth. I just don't know where I stand on them because I do feel like they have got the potential to just burst into life and score a few goals, but then every time I watch them, they just seem naff. So I'm not sure about Cash, but I think I'm just going to have to stick with him. But then, of course, I've got Gusto. Who knows? I really don't know how to call that game, to be honest. It'd be interesting to see what your opinion on that result would be. But
I can give it you right now if you want.
Go on.
So there's a fact going around on Twitter. The last time Chelsea beat a team who were in the top 10 when they played them was 2022 against Spurs.
Wow.
Like, they have a terrible, terrible record. I think as well, if you exclude all the teams that have been relegated over the past few seasons, I think the past 2 seasons, and put a table together, they are 17th in that table. And they've only picked up 26 points over the past 2 seasons, excluding relegated sides.
They don't like playing the informed teams, is what I'm hearing.
They don't like playing football, with the sounds of it, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I don't know. I don't feel confident enough, even though you said that. I don't feel confident enough that Villa will walk that game, no, either. So it's an interesting one there, and it's annoying because it's not like I've really got the options on the bench.
True.
I'm happy with Salah against West Ham. He likes a goal against West Ham. Liverpool have got a point to prove after Mikel Antonio's comments. I don't know if you saw them.
I did see them.
Yeah. So, interesting one. Speaking of which, going to take Haaland out for Antonio. But yeah, no, I feel like Salah should do something in that game. Don't know how it'll go. I must say, the past 3 game weeks, I've not been overly confident of us, but every game, like after the Newcastle game, I got a little bit more confident, especially with us at home to Villa, but I knew they were a force to be reckoned with. So I was still a bit like up in the air as to how that would go. Then Wolves, I was a little bit more confident, but we just seem to be grinding out the results.
Yeah.
West Ham is going to be a tricky game. The only saving grace I think there is the fact they're at home. So in that case, I would back Salah to do something. I like Gordon's fixtures, so that makes sense. Son's come in now. He's forced me to take a -4, which has ended up turning out to be, what, a -19 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Jeffrey Schlupp's back in the squad, though.
Whoa!
I think he's going to make an appearance. At home to Fulham, if he can't do anything there, then he really isn't worth the time, especially in my wild card when that comes around. If he's not making the pitch, it's not worth being a meme.
Yeah.
And then my front 3, I think I'm just going to have to stick with that. And it depends on what transfer I make. I am thinking of taking Trent out and bringing in a cheaper defender. I've not got any Newcastle defence and I like their run. So I could go for a more expensive guy in Trippier. But then is last week a message telling me that I shouldn't follow the bandwagon and I should go for something different? Fabian Schär would be going slightly different. So it's one of those really where I'm not too sure, but I think that would be the route I'd say is the most wise.
Yeah, on that Trippier thing as well, I think a lot of people are looking to bring him in this week, which I don't think is a bad suggestion. Obviously, the Newcastle fixtures are really good. But I said this in one of my transfer videos this week. The fact that they signed Livramento in the summer, hasn't played a single minute yet. There's obviously midweek games coming up now, Carabao next week, Champions League this week. You imagine at some point Livramento is going to start to see some game time because they're not going to spend, 30-40 million on him, one of the best promising young defenders, so-called, in the Premier League over the past few years, just for him to kind of sit on the bench. It doesn't make sense to me.
Could he play left back though?
I don't know if he can play left back or he's ever played left back.
It's one of those though. I feel like a right back can fill at a left back spot, especially with his age. He's probably a lot more adaptable than maybe Trippier would be, who's arced his game around the way that he plays football with his right foot, with those crosses, the way he does it, and he's very good at it. Along with the fact that Trippier is the captain as well. So as much as I feel like you make a good point there, may miss the odd game, I feel like there's a chance he'd be more likely unless like he's a complete replacement or a complete like for like swap for Trippier, he'd be more likely to take Dan Burns' place because I could see him being more of a sacrificable player. Nothing against Dan Burn, but it just may allow for more game time for people down the left hand side, and then allowing the captain to keep his place. But
Has never played a game at left back.
yeah, but he is a kid.
That's it then. That's it. That's it. Forget it.
Could he not be Isak's swap as well? And I heard he might play in goal for Nick Pope. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
versatile as our Livramento.
No, I just think it's worth something. Obviously, a lot like Trippier is extremely highly priced this year as well. The data isn't quite there for me. I feel more comfortable going with a Botman or a Shaw because I feel like you don't really rotate your centre back partners. You know when they're quite nailed. It feels like
Well,
something that you wouldn't
Cher
do.
likes a goal or two, so
Yeah,
I might end up following suit on that.
yeah, maybe.
Not live though today. I've
Not
learned.
not live. Don't do it live, lad. It never goes well live, to be honest. We've learnt that from last week.
We have. I've also just an honourable mention to Big Erling. He's got the captain's armband back. I do fancy him to score a couple against Forest, and I don't think anyone really like provides any competition on the face of it in those players.
What about Morris? uh,
I don't think so. I think Lyle Foster would have had more chance. He
yeah.
looked bright on Monday. Shame he had to go and ruin it.
Yeah, not even available for the double now, which is a bit of a stinger.
Yeah, he's really let himself down there.
He has indeed. Yeah, on Haaland as well, has missed 9 big chances in his last 2 games, which is just ridiculous.
It is, but it's one of those. He's getting in those big chance positions, and it's only like one game you'll score 7, one game you'll miss 7. Like it, I know, I am playing things very, very on the edge when I am not captaining him because I watch the games and I'm like, fucking hell, he could have scored that. He could have got a hat trick there.
Yeah.
On another day, he would have done. So I'm playing it very fine. Like against Sheffield United, when I captained Jackson, I think he got an extra point for me, Jackson, because Haaland didn't score.
He missed that
missed
pen,
the
didn't he?
penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But oh my word, actually, he might have scored. He did
He
score,
did
but
score,
he
yeah.
missed. But he had so many chances. It's just like he's not going to do that every game week. He's just saving himself. He knows that his team will pull him out the gutter against those teams. But when he really needs to, he'll come firing. And I think Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is they play Forest, he's gonna. I think he might, for better use of a word, he might get his cock out.
Might get his cock out. That's one way of saying it. Even last night in the game in the Champions League, he had so many chances. It was ridiculous. Hit the bar. The goalkeeper made ridiculous saves as well. There's a Paul Dummett comment in the chat as well.
Oh no.
He's back.
Oh yeah, and I like how Thomas is blaming you for it.
Yeah. Paul Dummett blanked again. Well, you know.
Take some advice from me, Thomas lad. It's all right.
Yeah,
I'll be waiting.
Bring Jeffrey Schlupp in, mate. Bring Jeffrey Schlupp in. You know, he'll do extremely well. We will move on, as you know, we're finishing at 8 o'clock to go and watch the football because we're, you know, real men. We will move on to my team, which is honestly, I've played FPL probably for about 4-5 years since like the first year of uni, like properly. And this has to be the lowest score I've ever got. Ever got. And of course it's the year where we're doing these streams, videos, and you know, just making general content. It was just a stinker all over. Only 2 players returned. One of them was Haaland, so that doesn't really count because you expect him to return every single week. The other was Saka with an assist. Everybody else was awful. Was genuinely awful in this team. Estupinian obviously didn't play because he was late back from international duty. So Rico Henry come in, and I thought, okay, at least Rico Henry's playing. He might pick up a clean sheet. Nah, didn't fancy it. Injured before half time, so that went well. A Doji not keeping a clean sheet at home to Sheffield United is criminal. I'm just going to put that out there. Chilwell, whew, yeah, he's made himself.
I don't understand what happened there.
Yeah, That was a bizarre one. It looks like they don't want to play him in defence anymore. They want to play him in like the left mid role, which is kind of the comments that Potter's come out and made. So he's now competing with Mudryk. I'd still be playing Chilwell over Mudryk.
100%. Mudryk looked dead.
He was rubbish.
He's not looking like he's got any confidence whatsoever at the moment. And so why would you not just start Chilwell and bring Mudryk on when he's got no point? Like there's no pressure on him because you've already got a couple goals ahead. Not when you're in a bit of a sticky situation, not great form, not scored at home to Forest in the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put the pressure on Mudryk, even though Chilwell's probably the most threatening player in front of goal at the moment.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Absolutely daft. The rest of the team, Carlton Morris deserves a special shout out. He got a 5 rating on FOTMob. I don't think I've seen a player that low for a long time.
Did he miss big chances or something?
I don't know what he did. I saw he got dispossessed and lost possession quite a lot. So that's probably it. And then Jackson, my God, he is awful at football.
Have you seen the meme?
I've seen them. I've seen that one where the goal just keeps going bigger and bigger and like.
They needed a goal the width of an aeroplane for him to have scored.
Literally, I watched the game and I was like, did anyone actually scout this man before they bought him, or did they just look at his like FB ref stats and go, oh yeah, he looks good. He looks good. Let's buy him for like 50 mil. He's the biggest donkey I've ever seen, and he's still in my team. I don't know whether or not he's going to remain in my team, but he's only one yellow card away from a suspension as well, so that doesn't help. So if I did keep him, I guarantee he'd get a yellow card. He just would. We had a terrible rank fall as well, because we went from 94,000 to 560,000. Which is honestly abysmal, but it's still early on. So we'll claw it back at some points.
Everyone's got to have a stinker, lad.
Yeah, just probably not that bad. That was really
on face value, your team did look strong. It's just harsh luck, isn't it? It's like you're so team.
Oh, don't even start me on that one. If Ramsdale had got the same points as what Raya got, I would have got a reward for that team. So that's heavy. That's a bit heavy. But we move. We're the Crystal Palace boys this week against Fulham. So, who's
Have you got Schlupp in?
No Schlupp, mate. I'm not buying into that hype. We will move on to how my team is looking for game week 6. We've got Johnson in goal. He could get dropped and absolutely ruin me. At the moment, we have a back three of Kabore, Estupinian and Chilwell. A midfield 5 of Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Maddison, Eze, and then a front 2 of Haaland and Morris. Now, my transfer plans, there are currently 3 transfers that I have in mind. I could play it safe, and I could do Rico Henry to Botman, and then replace Kabore with Botman. Very just normal.
Does Kabore play, by the way?
He played the last game, and he played the first 3 game weeks. He just didn't play in game week 4. So
would you not be tempted to play him at home to Wolves?
I would. This is the thing. It is one of them where that's why I feel like I'm comfortable enough for him to play. But the sensible transfer for me this week would be Henry to Botman. But then there's my spicy transfers, which are Jackson to Wilson. Callum Wilson with Sheffield United away. Some good fixtures. He looks like he could be the weekend man. And Isak is kind of the Champions League and Cup man. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting at the moment. So Callum Wilson could be a little cheeky option. Or
especially after he scored at the weekend, you'd be silly not to start him.
Yeah. Or I could go for Julian Alvarez. Because he's looking absolutely ridiculous at the moment.
Who for? For Jackson?
For Jackson, yeah. And then I'd either take one of Saka or Maddison out. Probably leaning more towards taking Maddison out is down to the fact that Spurs haven't won at the Emirates since 2010.
It's a tricky one, the derby, because everything goes out the window. I know, like you say, all the stats would suggest Arsenal win that, but it still does go out the window. And like one hot head and you're down to 10 men. in that game. It's a completely different atmosphere, completely different game. One little thing of magic. Maddison can come up with that magic. Um, but yeah, I think if you're benching Udogi, it would make sense to just commit to Arsenal.
Yeah, yeah. And then obviously I feel like Callum Wilson should do something in that game against Sheffield United if he played. Like
I'd agree.
I feel like they're due a bumming. You know what I mean? They've been getting away with like absolutely taking like pepperins and like getting a 2-1. Like at the weekend, Spurs just put them to the sword but still couldn't score. When City played them as well, absolutely dominated them and they came away with 2-1. It feels like they're ready. They've been lubed up
Yeah.
a bit. They just need a good fist right
The
in
only
there.
thing is, I do think it is different when they're at Bramall Lane.
Mm, mm,
Because like they played as much as it was Everton, they played well against Everton, um, and I just feel like Newcastle, as much as they got a good point in the week yesterday, they got a good solid win at home to Brentford. They're still not looking that. They're not looking that. What's the word? They're not flowing as much as they should be
mm.
for the side that they've got. So I feel like I get the Callum Wilson. I would back him to do something at the weekend, but I feel like that bumming might have to wait another week,
Now that you've said that, though, I do feel more confident on a bumming.
because I've said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
yeah, yeah,
captain him, lad.
yeah. Yeah. I'm
Put your
gonna.
money where your mouth is.
Oh dear.
Who have they got next? Sheffield?
They've got Burnley after that as well. So that's
No,
no, not Sheffield.
oh, no, they're away to West Ham. Now that's a bumming
Yeah,
potential.
yeah, yeah. Jamie,
Maybe it is Antonio time.
have you just read Jamie's comment?
Oh,
Jackson.
oh no.
That's a top comment, that Jamie lad. Uh,
When's that? When do we have that to look forward
yeah,
to?
what time's that on? What time and what website? If you got a link, send it in.
What website?
F- That's on the FPL homepage. Is just Jackson prolapsing.
That's on that OnlyFans we were trying to create the other week.
Oh yeah. Oh, reading through some other comments as well. Gary's had an absolute stinker. Ended on 28 points, so I don't feel as bad now. With my 30 points, my dismal 30 points. But yeah, that's my team for this week. Obviously, Julian Alvarez I briefly mentioned there. And I feel that leads us quite nicely on to the next section where we are going to talk about whether or not it is time to buy Julian Alvarez, whether or not it is to invest in him, because he has been exceptional over the opening couple game weeks, had a brilliant performance in the Champions League as well last night, and is currently the most transferred in player going into game week 6. The past few the highest transferred in players, haven't quite worked out. Son last week, obviously, we all know how that one went. And then who was the week before? It was Sterling. And yeah, we all know how that one worked as well, with another blank for him as well. So it's not going well for the most transferred in players. But Julian Alvarez does seem a little bit different. Obviously on screen right now we do have his stats from the opening 5 game weeks. Jake, what are your thoughts on Julian Alvarez? Is it time to play a little bit of pep roulette, or is it just an easy avoid and go for some other players?
It's definitely not an easy avoid now. Like, because the stats do suggest that you should have him in as a no-brainer almost. He does seem to be really, really thriving, especially with Haaland in the team. He seems to be performing really well.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I'm sure Pep's watching this stream. He's watching all the FPL stuff. He's got an FPL team himself, and he loves the fact that he watches 500,000 people bring Julian Alvarez in their team, and he loves fucking with them. And so it would just be typical, but mainly because he had such a good game at the yesterday as well. He's played 2 games in a row. That's a lot. Pep thinks he needs his cotton wool and bedtime. So that's the only thing I'd be reluctant to. That's the only reason I'd be reluctant to bring him in. But if Pep really does want to reward the player for how well he's performed, then he'd be a no-brainer in the side. And I wouldn't doubt that he would pick up where he left off. So I can see why people have brought him in. I can see all of that. The only thing I think stopping him from performing well would be Pep rather than an Alvarez stinker himself.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree on that. Pep's comments after the game yesterday was that he was basically unplayable, not unplayable. Is that the right word?
Undroppable.
Undroppable, pretty much, is what he said.
Well, in that case, you're going to
But
have to.
but the last time he said this was about Nathan Ake, and then Nathan Ake didn't play for 3 weeks. So
Maybe his way of saying he's undroppable means he's just going to save him for the Champions League final.
yeah, yeah. Well, before this, the previous 4 game weeks, he did play 90 minutes. Played for Argentina as well over the international period as well. Played in the Champions League last night. Is he going to drop him for the next two? The easier of the 2 games?
Then again, Pep did say that Forest have won more Champions Leagues than City, so maybe he sees this as a real nail biter.
Mm, mm.
So he might have to play his big guns.
This is the thing as well. Hopefully we could get early team news for this game, because the deadline this week is at 1:30. City play at 3, so we should get early team news for this one. So a lot of people are already kind of clambering on this Julian Alvarez. If you've got the money and the time, I would suggest potentially holding and waiting to see if we can get early team news. That's what I'm planning on doing.
You just want the views, lad. You just want the views.
Hey, lad, hey. Come on. We've got to pay the bills somehow. Work ain't done.
Exactly. And I've had a point. Alvarez is in crutches at the moment, but we'll pretend.
Yeah.
No, I think that's wise. I think that's some good advice. I think if you can wait till 1:30 or as close to it, then that's probably the best bet.
Yeah. If you can't, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth it if you can't wait. Just because the next two are great. Then it's Arsenal, which is a game which could go either way, to be honest. And I just feel like he is going to drop him at some point. And this could be it's just a prime FPL moment week. Everyone's bringing him in. All the top content creators are absolutely like wet for him. You know what I mean? They're dripping for him. And it just would be so Pep to go, yeah, you know what? Forget it this week, mate. Forget it this week.
Gary makes a good point, though. What about Edouard?
Odsonne Edouard. Four out of the past 5 game weeks he's scored.
Home to Fulham.
Yeah. They do have United afterwards, though, I think. But, I mean, it is United at the moment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, hang on. So?
Fulham's the tricky one here.
Yeah, he was one that I did look at, actually, to be honest, Odsonne Edouard, for the draft. But I went against him. Nottingham Forest the week after. So maybe. Could be one to look at, potentially. But yeah, any more comments on Julian Alvarez?
Not from me, no. I think he has looked really good. He looks like a quality player. And I think he's almost saving Haaland's blushes at times, isn't he? Yeah. Because he's finishing chances when Haaland can't. Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticising Haaland too much because I know he'll just slam 4 in before I know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the only way that you can stop someone putting Alvarez in your team is if Pep decides to stop it.
Yeah.
Because if he plays against Forest, you'd expect him to do something.
100%. I don't think Forest have looked that bad, to be honest, though, over the opening couple game weeks. I think they've obviously had, not like the results haven't been there, but the performances have definitely been encouraging. I think people are potentially writing them off already as kind of like, this is going to be an easy game for City, but they put in a good performance against United and against Arsenal as well in the opening game week. I don't think they've been awful as a team, to be honest.
I think they were a bit poor on Monday. I think they didn't really show the side that was a game they really should have won if they were going to really prove that the performances to begin with were good. The Chelsea game was great, but I think without sounding weird, I think to see your team progressing as a side like Forest, you'd almost have rather beaten Burnley and drawn with Chelsea. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's not the same Chelsea, is it, though, at the moment as well? It doesn't feel like you've beaten Chelsea.
That is true.
You know what I mean? I feel you'd get more encouragement out of if you beat Brighton at the moment rather than Chelsea.
Oh, 100%.
Because
definitely
Brighton are just the better team. 100% the better team.
No, I'd completely agree with that. We couldn't beat Chelsea, to be fair, so God knows how it's going to go when we play Brighton.
Danny Welbeck masterclass inbound.
Mm.
We'll move on to our next section, and it is kind of not the return, because we sort of had it last week, but it's now going to become a regular feature on the streams. It is Bed Shitter of the Week. Now, this is where me and Jake nominate one player who absolutely stunk it up in Game Week 5 as the potential Bed Shitter of the Week. We'll do a quick poll in the chat as well, and you guys will vote for the final winner of the Game Week 5 Bed Shitter of the Week. And then we'll put forward our potential candidates who we think might stink it up for Game Week 6. And all I want to comment on that is in Game Week 5 last week, I said that Son might be a Bed Shitter of the Week. And he didn't deliver. He did not
Can
deliver.
I say, I also said Wan-Bissaka would be a bed shitter.
Didn't even play.
Yes. We smashed that.
Yeah. We're good at this. We're good at picking the players that you should avoid, evidently. But the players that you want to buy, we're not so good with them. So, Jake, I'll let you go first for your kind of contender that the people of the chat can vote for their Bed Shitter of the Week. Who is it going to be?
I think Jackson's got to be in there. I think he's really has shut it up recently, hasn't he? I think that's something that's just going to keep going until he finds the back of the net on a regular basis. I think he's the number one for me, to be honest. I don't really feel like there's been someone that's completely blown me away as a proper big bed shitter. I think there are teams that have shat the bed quite a bit. I mean, Sheffield United shat the bed. I think their time wasting really came to bite them on the arse.
Yeah.
Palace shat the bed a little bit, losing late on. So did Wolves. Bottle, like I don't know if you saw the game. Wolves played pretty well first half. Second half, fine. Liverpool turned it on, but I think they did shit the bed when Jose Sarr, for whatever stupid reason, in the 87th minute. He's caught the ball from a poor ball into the box. Can't remember if it was a cross or a corner.
Yeah.
But it was some kind of ball pumped into the box, and he's decided let's counter. The clearance was abysmal. Straight to Robertson. He does a 1-2 of Salah and he scores.
Nice.
So I think he could be a potential bed shitter of the week, to be honest, because I think Wolves, apart from that bit of shit where everyone was out of position because of that bit of hot-headedness from Sarr, they would have held on for a draw. I mean, it depends. I didn't see the Fulham game, but you said that Morris didn't look very good.
Morris had a stinker.
Yeah.
Cunha against Liverpool had a stinker as well. Did you see that miss he had?
That wasn't great. Big. I think Haaland can be saving his blushes because he scored against West Ham.
He did score.
He's almost a bed shit. You've almost got to consider him for the fact that he scored only once.
Yeah. That's a light day for Haaland.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I think my number one would probably be Jackson, but I'm going to say Jose Sarr as well. I think he's been I don't know if anyone caught the game, but I feel like Wolves probably could have snuck a draw.
I'm only taking one. I'm not taking two.
Oh, I'm going to go Sarr then.
No, you're going Jackson. We ain't Sarr in there. Bed shitters for me. I think I put Rico Henry on the graphic because he was the bed shitter for me, to be honest. Coming off injured, but I guess that's a little bit harsh, to be honest. I think for me, Son might be one of them that potentially could be a bed shitter of the week. Obviously, blanked, didn't do great either. Who was the other one? Carlton Morris as well. I brought him in, and he was so dismal, so bad. But I think I'm going to go with Son, to be honest. Obviously, there was all the hype. People taking -4s for him as well. Like, I feel
taking out Charlison.
Yeah. I feel he has to be in there. So I'm going to put the vote on the YouTube chat right now. So if you are in the YouTube chat, get voting for your bed shitter of the week. This is going to be a regular competition. Jackson and Son as the bed shitters of the week. Get your vote in now, and we'll end that poll in a couple minutes.
Where's Sarr?
Sarr ain't on there, lad. Sarr ain't on there. We're going to talk about potential bed shitters for Game Week 6. I'm going to let you go first, Jake. Players you think might have an absolute stinker.
Let me just have a look at these fixtures. I think Matt Turner's got to really perform because
Mm,
he's got a potential number one licking his lips behind him.
yeah,
He's going to be peppered. He's going to be really tested against City on Saturday, so that's going to be an interesting one. Um, oh no, you know what? I've just thought I was looking at Brentford Everton. It's going to be Neil Maupay against Everton, and he's been given the number seven shirt. Oh, that would be fantastic if he scored in that game.
uh,
Um, God, could I don't know? Could Manchester United be bed shitters against Burnley?
could be.
It's going to be interesting. I think Son could be one. I know you said it for last week, but I don't know how good he is at pulling together his team in a big game. And this is a big game. This is a
Mm,
game where Harry Kane was relied upon for Spurs.
yeah, definitely.
So that's going to be a real test of character, really, because away to Arsenal, like you said, the form's not great. The head-to-head record is a bit poor. So if Spurs are going to get anything, I know Richarlison was the one that pulled them out the bag this weekend, but I do feel like Son's going to be needed in this game.
Yeah.
Um, Nicholas Jackson needs to fucking watch himself. He really does need to get his shooting boots on. Um, and I think the big bed shitter I'm going to have to go for is Michael Antonio.
Oh, and I wonder why that is. I wonder why, eh? So when Mikel Antonio scores next week,
Well, then I'm
you've
going to
got
have
egg
to
on
eat.
the face, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I've got shit on my face. But yeah, I feel like he's. I haven't seen his comments. I've just read them, as in like I haven't watched him say it live, so I don't know if it's been taken out of context.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite hard to take what he said out of context for the amount that was written. Just saying that they've got Liverpool this weekend. I back myself against Liverpool, and I think we'll finish above Liverpool. That is a lot. That is a bold statement to give, especially in the building up to a Liverpool away day.
Yeah.
Um, hey, if he manages to bag, fair play to him for calling it so much. But I think that is a big statement to make, and I hope he's proven wrong.
Yeah. Well,
No bias there.
I'd like to see it. I think I'd like to see it now.
You'd like to see him score.
Yeah.
Would you prefer Antonio scoring or Neil Maupay scoring?
Oh, I think Neil Maupay. I think it'd just be funny. It'd be
No,
really funny if Neil Maupay
he'd
scored.
celebrate as well.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Yeah.
You doing Adebayor?
Go the other end of the stage.
Yeah.
For
Who's
me,
your bed shitter?
I think there's a few candidates in here. I think Estupinian potentially could be one. I could see him randomly getting dropped again, which could be one of them. Julian Alvarez could be another one if he plays limited minutes. Kieran Trippier, if he gets dropped, he could be a bed shitter of the week. Yeah, there's quite a few to be honest, isn't there? This week, there's definitely some tasty players in there. Eze, Fulham at home, you'd imagine he'd do well. Could shit bed. There's quite a lot to be honest. Any of the Chelsea, Jackson again, he could potentially win it back to back weeks. Good old Nicholas Jackson. We will be sending out the award Jackson. So if you are watching, mate, do expect a parcel to come to your door. It's just going to be a massive shit, and you know.
Is it gonna be your vegan shit?
Yeah. One of like the bulk
Healthy,
ones.
plant-based.
Yeah. He'll love it. But I think it is time to announce the first proper bed shitter of the week. So, drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. Game Week 5 bed shitter of the week goes to... It didn't tell me who won. It did tell me who won. It goes to Jackson, who received 100% of the votes in the poll. And he is our first ever bed shitter of the week for Game Week 5. So, thank you to everyone who voted. Unfortunately, Nicholas Jackson wasn't available for a comment or able to collect his award this week. But, maybe next week when he wins it again, he will be available and he'll be on the show.
We should put a comment out, like maybe DM him on Instagram to see what he's got.
Yeah. Just, excuse me, Nicholas, would you be able to comment on your bed shitter of the award?
I don't reckon we even tell him. I reckon we just say we've got an award we want to give you.
Yeah, 100%. We've had a few questions. Have we had a few questions? No, we haven't. But yeah, we got a little bit of time. So if you wanna ask me and Jake any questions about your FPL team, do get them in before we finish up and go and watch the football for this evening. Some very tasty matches on. Manchester United, Bayern Munich, probably the big one that I imagine a lot of people are going to watch. What was that, mate?
Should Harry Kane time?
Harry Kane time would be very nice. It will be great to see him. It's going to be weird watching a game with Harry Kane in and not being a Spurs shirt, to be honest.
But I hope he scores a hat-trick.
Yeah. I hope so as well.
Sorry, United fans, but I'm not.
Who cares? Who cares about Manchester United? I'm going to ask you for your highest scoring game of the week.
Ooh, good question. I'm going to go for City against Forest. I think City might absolutely batter them.
Fair. You know, last week how you laughed at me for my highest scoring of the week?
What did you say?
Palace Villa.
Yeah.
It was the joint highest scoring game of the week.
Joint with quite a few.
Yeah, joint with quite a few, but still.
Doesn't win clear out then. That's like me saying, this 0-0 is going to be the highest scoring.
All I'm saying is it delivered. It lived up to the hype. Who do I go for in this one? I mean, there's some terrible games on. Palace could be.
Fulham could be a 0-0. Luton Wolves could be a 0-0.
I'm gonna go Palace Fulham. That's gonna be the highest scoring game of the weekend. We're sticking with Palace again. It's gonna be a goal fest, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in, 3:00. Sit down, watch Crystal Palace Fulham. Forget that City Forest are playing. Forget Luton Wolves. Get yourself Palace versus Fulham. That'll be the highest scoring game of the weekend.
Schlupp gets the third. That's when I'm like, and he's got his hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. He's wheeled away, top off. You know, it's great.
Cock out.
Yeah, cock out. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. What about the lowest scoring game of the weekend?
Brentford Everton.
Yeah, just 1-0 Brentford, Neil Maupay.
Oh, that'd be so good. That'd be so funny. Oh yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right, I've got a feeling it's going to be Wolves Luton. That honks.
Yeah, I can see that, but then I could also see Wolves winning 3-0.
Yeah. Luton haven't been impressive, have they, over the opening couple game weeks?
No, I saw a Watford fans put a fiver on them to eclipse Derby's record, and he gets a good chunk of money. To be fair, I think it was 250 to 1.
I'd want better odds. I think I'd want better odds than that. You know.
I think they've just got to be careful, don't they? Ever since Leicester won the league.
Yeah, but like it's not great because they have to be dismal for a whole year. And they are going to pick up some results. I don't think they're like that Derby team that came up. There is some quality in there. So they will win some games.
They're not getting absolutely battered week in, week out, are they? No. Like Derby were getting 5, 6, 7 against them, weren't they?
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I'd want higher odds. But yeah, we will see. It doesn't look like we're going to get any questions in tonight. If you have any questions about your team, I will be live from 11 o'clock on Saturday on TikTok and YouTube for the deadline stream. I imagine Jake will pop in as well and ask me some random questions as well. He'll be in the chat. But yeah, if you do have any questions about your team, that is the best place to come, as we do try and answer every single question. Probably get most of them wrong anyway, and it goes the complete opposite way. So you can ask me and then just do the exact opposite, and that'll probably work even better. But hopefully this game week goes a little bit better than game week 5. We will be back next week around 7 o'clock with our teams and our points, and of course, bed shitter of the week. So if you do see a bed shitter of the week and you think that should be in next week's stream, do at me on Twitter or leave it under one of my things and just put bed shitter of the week and then just put the player's name. You know what? Let's get it trending. Let's get it out there.
Let's do it.
Let's get it to the wider community. Bed shitter of the week. It needs to become a thing. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Jake, any final comments from you ahead of game week 6?
I don't think so. No, I'm just looking forward to Mikel Antonio's tears.
I'm looking forward to seeing him score at Anfield, to be honest. That's going to be my...
And doing that celebration.
Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah, obviously, literally. I won't be able to actually see what you...
Just get a few seconds and then you'll be able to see me do it. Hang on.
Still waiting.
Oh. Oh, go on. The suspense is killing.
Oh,
Oh, go on.
oh, I'm smiling. I think I'm
Oh,
about.
it's just
Oh, I've just started doing the celebration. Yeah, there it is.
yeah, there it is. There it is.
Nice.
So you've just enjoyed me dancing and Jake dancing. I feel that's all you need for this game week. So we'll see you next week. But if you want to come to the deadline stream on Saturday, 11 o'clock on YouTube and TikTok. But thank you very much for watching this week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.